Hello everybody. This is your professor from your Java programming class. As we near the end of the semester, I would like to take a few minutes to go over the very last or the Capstone project and also talk a little bit about the class and your learning. If you look at your course syllabi, you will see that we have a student learning outcome or major learning outcome where we have about 6 bullet points. Now, since we have gone over almost 14 weeks of Java, and hopefully you are noticing the last name change of you all to .java, I think you should be able to make sense out of those outcomes. And if you look at the outcomes, which I have included, it talks about solving problems, designing solution, writing and testing code in Java using the correct code structure, and also following professional programming standards. Now remember, when you wrote your programs, I've always stressed on the fact that you should include a header which talks a little bit about who the programmer is, if you want to save it as a particular version, or also writing a little one-line description of what the program should be doing. So that is what it's referring to. Solving problems and designing solutions. This is also where I had given you instructions to write programs, but I had given you the problems. In this particular assignment, which is your Capstone project, I challenge you and your creativity. So what I'm asking you all to do is write 2 separate programs. One should be a console output project where you would type in the program and then you would run it and you would actually get the results, the executed code under the console, depending upon whatever development environment you're using, be it NetBeans or be it Eclipse. And the other one is a GUI using JavaFX project. And I wanted you all to use these concepts that we have learned in the last 14 weeks. User interactivity, which means I do not want a hard-coded program. Again, remember, you are coming up with your own problem to which you are designing a solution. An example could be you would want to create 2 separate programs. One is the console programs where you are asking your friends to input their information. Maybe it's their first name and the last name, their address, and maybe their phone number and email addresses. And you could create or use an array. It could be a single dimensional or it could be a multi-dimensional array if you want to store multiple things, where you would store that information. Now you could still create some classes where you would create your friend class with some get set methods, and then you could write a test program where you would actually create some objects of friend 1, whatever your friend name is, friend 2, friend 3, or whatever their names are, and input all that information and display their information. Now this particular method would probably be using arrays, classes, objects, methods. It could have some decision statements if you want to if you want to make sure that you write some kind of a decision statement to make sure that the students are the friends are inputting correct information. Make sure you write detailed comments on all your programs. It could be looping, or it could be using those loops to capture 10 friends of yours or maybe 20 friends of yours, and you would display their information on your console. Now you could take the same program and create something in the GUI, and again, this is just an example. It could be some kind of an identity card system where you would include your 10 friends and you would associate maybe 10 pictures of these people, and as you click on the name of the first friend, you would have the picture pop up with their details, maybe just a name, or maybe their nickname, or whatever you would like to. Again, it's completely up to you. So that way you would create two separate programs. One is a console, one is a GUI, which solves a problem for you, which means you are creating through Java an application where you would be able to store your friend's information, or it could be a recipe that you are trying to take and then display. So again, it is completely up to you. I would like for you all to be creative and apply some of the concepts that you have learned. Now, can you use your earlier projects? You can use them as a template. So you can go through all the projects that you have done and get some ideas. However, I do not want the same program that you have written. Okay, make sure you understand this thing clearly. You can go through and look at any of those programs and use them as any, or take as much as you want, and use it as a template, but I want you to create a problem of your own and design a solution of your own. Okay, now you have to also pay very, very close attention to the grade rubric for this. Okay, just like in any under any weeks I had given you, write an application which does all this. This time you are going to give me a detailed description of the two programs that you have written. So you should say, the program that I wrote is doing such and such, 3-4 line sentences, okay, and explain everything what the program would be doing. You would need to include your code file, your Java files, and if there are multiple files that you need to do, just zip them all. Make sure your codes have detailed comments. I've associated a lot of points here, 30 points. If I do not see detailed comments, you are not going to get those points. And then you have an assessment reflection. Now this is also where I have been stressing that you need to tell me what you have used in that program. So if you are doing the program that I just described to you, you will be talking about your program is using arrays, your program is using classes, your programming is creating objects, your program is using interactivity, your program is doing any kind of checking to make sure the information or the data that you're taking in is passing some test. Again, these are all depending upon what kind of program you're writing. So your assessment part should include very, very detailed comments, and also excuse me, also ran or executed program screenshots. Okay, now you're uploading your Java files with detailed comments, and then in your assessment reflection you are including screenshots. Okay, and then you should write your challenges. Now when you submit your document, do not submit 15 separate screenshots as separate files. Make one big Word document where you need to write the detailed description. Program 1, this is what my program is doing. And then you write your assessment, again, detailed description with multiple screenshots, which shows me exactly what the program is doing and your challenges that you face. Okay, and that's how I need your program to be submitted. One full document in details with multiple screenshots showing what the program is doing. If you're trying to input some values, take a little screenshot, include them in there. It should really read like a complete documentation where you are writing in details and showing what the program is doing, okay, and your challenges. So this is what I would like for you to submit for your two last programs. This is a creative capstone project. Now remember, all these bullet points that I have included, you don't have to include them all in one program. It could be in one program, it could be in two programs, it could be in both programs, but I want to make sure that you are including every single components that we talked about in our learning assessment. So if you keep looking at it. You will see your first learning outcome. I kind of went over it already. But your second one is creating your classes and declaring objects and methods and using it in object-oriented programming. This is where you learned about inheritance, polymorphism, and this is how you're using it. Then you're designing a graphical user interface, okay? And then you're using, of course, your variables, constants, and arrays, all those things you have been using from the very beginning. Inputs and outputs as necessary. I do not want hard-coded program. I want versatile, interactive programs. And then also your API, different kind of methods that you have been using, pre-written methods and classes. So everything that you have used so far, you should be incorporating or implementing in your program. Think through as to what you are doing and then create your programs. Again, I want to remind you that you can use any of the programs that you have done as templates, but it cannot be the same program. Make sure you tell me if you have used certain parts of certain programs. Detail that, that you have written a program earlier which did such and such, but now I have changed it to do this. So make sure you do a detailed job and give me detailed reflection assessments and your codes. Thank you. Good luck.